Nobody ever questioned why the brides disappeared. People preferred easier explanations. Cold feet, secret affairs, runaways, mental breakdowns. Chicago loved beautiful lies. The truth was far uglier. Every missing bride had worn the same veil. Black silk, handmade, designed by one woman, Evelyn Moore. Rain washed across the enormous windows of Maison Étoile, Chicago's most exclusive bridal atelier. Inside, soft classical music drifted through crystal chandeliers, while assistants carefully arranged gowns worth more than luxury cars. Evelyn stood alone beneath warm studio lights, adjusting the final layers of delicate French lace around another ivory wedding dress. She believed every stitch carried hope. Every gown deserved a happy ending. That belief had built her career. It had also blinded her. Her assistant hurried into the fitting room, holding a black envelope. No return address. Evelyn accepted it. Inside rested a single card. No greeting, no signature, only one sentence. I need a wedding dress no one will ever forget. Below the message, I'll check. $5 million. Evelyn stared. It has to be fake. It cleared. Her assistant swallowed nervously. The bank already confirmed. Evelyn slowly looked back toward the note, then noticed something else. Folded beneath it, a small square of fabric, pure black silk, softer than anything she had ever touched. The appointment was scheduled exactly 48 hours later. No name, no phone number, only an address. A private mansion overlooking Lake Michigan. The estate appeared abandoned until the iron gates silently opened. Black SUVs lined the circular driveway. Men in tailored suits watched every movement without speaking. No security badges, no smiles, only discipline. Evelyn's heartbeat quickened. She almost drove away. Instead, she walked inside. The mansion felt less like a home than a palace abandoned by royalty. Italian marble, towering fireplaces, paintings worth millions. Silence. Waiting in the center of an enormous ballroom stood one man, nearly 6'4", perfectly tailored charcoal suit, dark hair combed neatly backward, cold steel gray eyes. Power seemed to settle around him like gravity itself. He never introduced himself. He simply looked at her long enough that she forgot to breathe. Finally, he spoke. You don't frighten easily. His voice remained calm, almost gentle. I usually do. Evelyn answered honestly. I'm just trying not to show it. Something almost resembling amusement crossed his expression. My name is Leon Romano. The room suddenly felt colder. Every newspaper in America knew that name. The invisible king of Chicago's underworld. The Mafia Boss. Nobody ever photographed twice. Evelyn instinctively stepped backward. I think you've mistaken me for someone else. No, Leon replied quietly. I've been looking for you. A garment bag waited beside him. Inside hung the most extraordinary wedding gown Evelyn had ever seen. Entirely black, not cheap satin, not Gothic fashion, hand-woven Italian silk layered beneath black French Chantilly lace, embroidered with microscopic silver thread. It was breathtaking and strangely familiar. I've seen this pattern before, she whispered. Leon watched her carefully. I know. You designed it. Her blood ran cold. I've never made this dress. You made 6 of them. Leon answered. Every woman who wore one disappeared within 24 hours. Silence filled the ballroom. Evelyn slowly shook her head. That's impossible. I would remember. You don't. Leon stepped closer. Someone has been using your original sketches. He reached inside his jacket and placed 6 photographs across a marble table. 6 brides, 6 beautiful smiles, 6 identical black veils, each photograph marked with one word, missing. Evelyn stared at them, then noticed something impossible. Tiny details hidden inside the embroidery. Patterns, curves, symbols. They looked decorative until she recognized them. Coordinates, her own signature stitching technique. Only 3 people in the world understood how to read those patterns. One of them was her. She grabbed the photographs with trembling hands. No, I never made these. I know, Leon said softly. Someone inside your studio did. That night, Evelyn couldn't sleep. Every bridal sketch she'd ever created suddenly felt dangerous. She searched through years of archived designs, dozens, hundreds, nothing, until she unlocked an old storage cabinet rarely used anymore. Inside rested a forgotten portfolio, labeled simply Black Veil Collection. She didn't remember creating it, yet every page carried her signature, her handwriting, her design notes, the dates. 7 years earlier, entire months of work completely erased from her memory. One page contained only 4 handwritten words. If I disappear, burn everything. She dropped the folder. Someone had been inside her life long before Leon Romano arrived, and they had stolen far more than dresses. They had stolen part of her past. The following morning, the studio's front windows exploded inward. Masked gunmen flooded the showroom. Brides screamed. Glass rained across marble floors. Before Evelyn could react, a familiar voice echoed behind her. Stay down. Leon Romano walked through the shattered entrance alone. Gunfire erupted instantly. His bodyguards answered from outside. Customers crawled beneath display tables. White gowns became stained with blood and shattered crystal. Leon crossed the chaos without hesitation, reached Evelyn, pulled her behind him. Bullets struck marble columns only inches away. He never looked back, only said quietly, I was too late. Evelyn clutched his sleeve. What do they want? Leon turned toward the burning showroom. His eyes settled on the unfinished black wedding dress, displayed beneath the skylight. They don't want the dress anymore. His voice became frighteningly calm. They came for the woman who designed it. For several terrifying seconds, the only sound inside Maison Étoile was breaking glass. The gunfire had stopped. Smoke drifted lazily through shattered display windows. White wedding gowns hung motionless beneath the crystal chandeliers, stained with dust and blood. Leon Romano remained standing in front of Evelyn, one hand still gripping the pistol at his side, while the other rested lightly against her shoulder. His breathing was perfectly controlled. His expression hadn't changed. But his eyes, they never stopped searching every corner of the showroom. Only when one of his men quietly nodded from outside did Leon finally lower his weapon. It's clear. His voice remained calm. Move. Evelyn stared at the unconscious gunman lying only a few feet away. She couldn't finish the sentence. Leon answered without emotion. Alive. She looked up. You knew I was thinking that? I always know. There was no arrogance in his voice, only certainty, for reasons she couldn't explain, that frightened her even more. Within minutes, the luxurious bridal boutique had become a crime scene. Police sirens echoed through downtown Chicago. News helicopters circled overhead. Yet none of the officers entered the building. Instead, they remained behind barricades, watching, waiting, almost asking permission. Evelyn noticed. Why aren't they coming inside? Leon looked through the broken windows. Because they weren't called. She frowned. But I heard the sirens. You heard them, he answered quietly. I didn't say they came to help. A convoy of black SUVs pulled into an underground parking garage beneath an unfinished skyscraper. Only after the steel security doors closed behind them did Evelyn finally speak. You kidnapped me. Leon looked out the tinted window. No, I removed you from a battlefield. Against my will. If I had asked, he finally turned toward her. You would have said no. She couldn't argue. She would have. The elevator descended instead of rising. 20 floors underground. The doors opened onto something Evelyn never expected. Not a mafia hideout. Not a nightclub. Not a fortress. It resembled an intelligence agency. Massive digital maps covered entire walls. Satellite feeds. Financial records. Facial recognition software. Thousands of surveillance cameras streamed across giant monitors. Dozens of analysts worked silently in tailored suits. No loud music. No smoking. No gambling. No unnecessary conversation. Everything operated with military precision. This, Evelyn whispered, is your headquarters? Leon removed his overcoat. It keeps people alive. A silver-haired woman approached carrying a tablet. Mr. Romano. Status. The attack lasted 3 minutes and 41 seconds. 8 assailants. 6 escaped. 2 captured. She handed him several photographs. Both swallowed cyanide before interrogation. Evelyn froze. They killed themselves? The woman nodded. They never intended to survive. Leon didn't seem surprised. They failed. They were expected to. Evelyn stared. You mean, they weren't trying to kill you? Leon finished. They wanted us distracted. A massive digital screen suddenly illuminated the room. One image appeared. Another. Another. Dozens. Hundreds. Women. Every photograph showed a smiling bride. Every woman wore the same black veil. Every file carried identical status. Missing. Evelyn slowly walked closer. No, she whispered. There can't be this many. There are 117. Leon answered quietly. Across 16 years. Her knees nearly gave out. She recognized some faces. Television celebrities. Daughters of senators. Fashion models. Business executives. Socialites. Women whose disappearances had dominated national news before quietly fading away. Every one of them had worn her design. Leon enlarged one photograph. This was the first. A young woman smiled beneath an elegant black veil outside an old cathedral. Victoria Hale, missing 12 years. Another photograph appeared. Emily Ross, missing 10 years. Another. Catherine Monroe, missing 8 years. Each veil, identical. Each embroidery pattern. Hairs? Evelyn backed away from the screen. I never met these women. You did, Leon answered. You simply don't remember. He led her into a smaller conference room. On the table waited dozens of old sketchbooks recovered from Evelyn's studio archives. She immediately recognized her own handwriting. Every page belonged to her, yet none of the memories did. Leon opened the oldest journal, dated 8 years earlier. The first page contained only one sentence. They chose me because I remember faces. What does that mean? Evelyn whispered. Leon remained silent. She continued turning pages. Dress sketches, measurements, fabric samples, names, dozens of names, each crossed out in red ink. The final page stopped her heart. There, drawn in extraordinary detail, was her own face, wearing the black veil. Beneath it, someone had written, "The Final Bride." Evelyn staggered backward. I didn't draw this. You did, Leon replied, 2 days before you disappeared. She looked up. What? You vanished. His eyes never left hers. For 173 days. Silence. Her breathing became uneven. No. My family would have. They searched. They hired private investigators. They held your funeral. You were declared dead. She shook her head violently. That's impossible. I'm standing here. You were returned. Leon answered. 6 months later. No injuries. No explanation. No memories. Her entire body began trembling. I would have remembered something. You remembered enough to survive. The silver-haired woman entered quietly. Mr. Romano. We recovered the package. She placed an old velvet box onto the table. Leon nodded toward Evelyn. Open it. Inside rested something wrapped in faded black silk. Evelyn carefully unfolded the fabric. Aveille, the original one. Its delicate embroidery shimmered beneath the lights. She instinctively ran her fingers across the stitching. Then, everything changed. Images exploded inside her mind. A cathedral, women crying, someone screaming, a little girl reaching for her mother, rows of brides dressed completely in black, men wearing elegant masks, a wedding ceremony without a groom. Then, a man's voice, cold, calm, unforgettable. Once she wears the veil, she belongs to us forever. Evelyn gasped. The room spun violently. Leon caught her before she collapsed. She gripped his suit jacket with shaking hands. I saw them. His voice remained soft. What did you see? There were. She struggled to breathe. So many brides. They weren't getting married. They were. Her eyes widened with horror. They were being selected. Leon closed his eyes briefly, as though hearing the words he'd feared most. The Black Veil Society, he finally said. They don't sell women. They collect them. Evelyn stared. I don't understand. They target women with influence. Daughters of politicians, heirs, scientists, artists, judges, women whose bloodlines, he hesitated, can reshape fortunes. They erase identities, arrange fake disappearances, create new lives, and auction those lives to the highest bidder. Evelyn felt sick. My dresses were never dresses, Leon answered. They were invitations. Before she could speak, every monitor inside the headquarters suddenly went black. On B1. The screens flickered back to life. Not with surveillance footage, with a single image. A woman, standing alone, wearing the newest, unfinished black wedding gown. The one still inside Evelyn's destroyed studio. Slowly, the woman lifted her veil. Evelyn froze. She was looking at herself, not a photograph, a live video feed. Someone, somewhere, was wearing her face. Then the woman smiled. You've remembered more quickly than expected. The voice was identical. Every analyst in the room fell silent. Leon immediately drew his weapon. The woman continued smiling. I'll be waiting. She gently touched the black veil. Just like the last time. The transmission ended. Silence. Evelyn slowly turned toward Leon. What did she mean? The last time? Leon looked at the dark screen. For the first time since they had met, real fear appeared in his eyes. Because, he said quietly, 3 years ago, you were the woman wearing that veil. The room fell into absolute silence. Nobody spoke. Nobody even breathed. Every analyst inside Leon Romano's underground headquarters remained frozen, staring at the dark monitors. Evelyn couldn't move. Her own face, her own voice. Someone had just looked directly into her eyes from the screen. Yet, it wasn't her. She whispered, "Who was that?" Leon answered almost immediately. "I don't know." She looked at him. "You just said." "I wore that veil." "I did." "Then tell me." His jaw tightened. "I've spent 3 years trying." Evelyn slowly sat down. Her hands refused to stop shaking. Everything she believed about herself was disappearing, piece by piece. The missing brides, the forgotten sketches, the missing 6 months. Now, another woman wearing her face. None of it made sense until Leon quietly placed another file on the table. "This," he said, "is why I came to you." Inside the folder rested dozens of surveillance photographs. Different cities, different countries. Paris, New York, Milan, Prague, Tokyo. Each photograph showed the same woman, always wearing black, always disappearing before anyone could approach. Evelyn's heart nearly stopped. Every woman looked exactly like her, not similar, identical. One photo showed Evelyn leaving a luxury hotel in Rome. Another captured Evelyn entering a private airport in Switzerland. A third showed her standing beside Adrian Valenti during a fashion gala in Monaco. The dates shocked her even more. Some photographs were taken while she had been living peacefully in Chicago. "There," she whispered, "can't be 2 of me." Leon looked directly into her eyes. "There aren't." He enlarged one photograph. The woman smiled for the cameras. Elegant, confident, dangerously beautiful. Around her neck hung a small silver pendant. Evelyn instinctively reached for her own necklace. The exact same pendant. Her fingers froze. "I've had this since I was little." Leon nodded. "I know. It was made as a pair." "What?" "The woman in the photographs. Where's the other half?" The silver-haired intelligence director entered carrying another encrypted tablet. "Boss, we finally decrypted the Zurich archive." Leon accepted it. His expression darkened almost immediately. "What is it?" Evelyn asked. He hesitated, then silently handed her the tablet. One sentence filled the screen. Subject: Evelyn Moore. Status: successfully replaced. Her entire body turned cold. What does replaced mean? No one answered. Leon opened another classified report. "This organization," he began, doesn't simply abduct women. They erase them. They build replacements. Evelyn frowned. Replacements? New identities. Surgical reconstruction. Behavioral conditioning. Memory? Implantation. They create perfect copies. Silence. They don't steal people. They duplicate lives. Evelyn suddenly remembered something. A dream. No, not a dream. A memory. A bright operating room. People wearing white masks. Someone holding her head still. A woman's voice repeating over and over. Smile exactly like Evelyn. Walk exactly like Evelyn. Become Evelyn. She gasped. The room blurred. Leon immediately steadied her. What happened? She pressed both hands against her temples. I remember voices. They kept saying my name. They were teaching someone. Her breathing became frantic. How to become me. Leon slowly closed his eyes. So it's true. What? He looked at her. There were always rumors. What rumors? That Adrian Valenti had perfected something called, he hesitated, the Mirror Bride program. Every analyst in the room stopped working. Even Marco Rossi turned toward Leon. None of them had ever heard him speak those words aloud. Leon continued quietly. Years ago, wealthy families began reporting something impossible. Daughters returned home. Wives returned. Fiancés returned. They looked identical. They sounded identical. They remembered everything. But he looked toward Evelyn. They weren't the same women. Evelyn whispered, "You're saying someone replaced me?" Leon answered softly, "No, they failed." She frowned. "What?" "They never replaced you. They copied you." The difference terrified her. If she had never been replaced, then who was the woman still walking around the world with her face? Suddenly, a technician shouted across the room, "Boss, we've got movement." Every screen instantly switched to live satellite feeds. One black limousine, escorted by 12 luxury SUVs, crossing downtown Chicago. Destination: Maison Étoile. Evelyn's destroyed bridal studio. Marco frowned. Why go back there? Another analyst zoomed the image. A familiar figure stepped from the limousine. Adrian Valenti. Perfect charcoal suit. Silver hair. Elegant smile. Fashion's most celebrated designer. The man newspapers called the King of Couture. Evelyn stared at the screen. I've met him. Leon turned sharply. When? She searched her memory. He judged my first international competition. He gave me my career. Silence. Leon asked quietly. Did he ever touch you? She blinked. What? Think. Evelyn closed her eyes. Another memory surfaced. Backstage. 7 years earlier. Adrian placing a hand gently against her cheek. Smiling. Whispering. You'll create masterpieces. They'll never forget. Her eyes flew open. He gave me this. She lifted the silver pendant. Leon immediately recognized it. So that's how he marked you. Before anyone could respond, every monitor suddenly displayed another live broadcast. Adrian Valenti stood inside Evelyn's destroyed studio. He smiled directly into one of the security cameras, as though he knew Leon was watching. Then, he slowly lifted a garment bag. Inside hung the finished black wedding dress, completely completed. Perfect. Adrian spoke calmly. Evelyn. His voice echoed through the headquarters. You've always believed you designed beautiful endings. He smiled. But every masterpiece deserves one final bride. He gently turned the mannequin toward the camera. Evelyn's blood froze. The wedding dress wasn't made to her measurements. It was made to hers exactly. Every curve, every shoulder, every sleeve. It fit only one woman. Adrian smiled again. The ceremony begins tomorrow night. The screen went black. Nobody moved. Marco quietly loaded fresh ammunition into his rifle. Leon stared at the empty monitor, then looked toward Evelyn. His voice was calm. Too calm. They're done hiding. Evelyn whispered. What ceremony? Leon answered with heartbreaking certainty. The one they tried to force you into 3 years ago. He paused. And this time, they're making sure you reach the altar. The invitation arrived at exactly midnight. No envelope, no messenger, only a single black box left outside the underground headquarters. Inside rested one item, a wedding invitation. Heavy black cardstock trimmed in silver. Elegant handwriting stretched across the center. The ceremony of the black veil. Tomorrow evening, St. Bartholomew Cathedral. The bride must arrive before midnight. No groom was listed. Only one final sentence. If the bride refuses, another child dies. Silence filled the command center. Evelyn's fingers tightened around the invitation. There isn't even a name. Leon took the card from her. There never is. Marco Rossi entered, carrying another intelligence report. Boss, our cyber team decrypted another portion of the Society's archives. Leon nodded. What did they find? Marco looked toward Evelyn before answering. The black wedding was never a wedding. Every monitor illuminated simultaneously. Architectural blueprints, financial records, underground tunnels, private airfields, satellite image. One enormous map centered on St. Bartholomew Cathedral. Marco enlarged the blueprint. Hidden beneath the cathedral was an underground transportation terminal, private train access, cargo elevators, underground docks, connected to Lake Michigan, false passports, medical laboratories, holding cells, luxury apartments. Evelyn stared. It's an entire city. Leon nodded. They've been hiding beneath Chicago for nearly 30 years. The silver-haired intelligence director spoke quietly. Every bride disappeared because she never left the cathedral. They were taken underground. New identities, new countries, new owners. Evelyn felt sick. So no one was ever rescued? The woman hesitated. Everyone turned. She looked directly at Evelyn. You. Leon slowly walked toward a massive wall covered with photographs. One picture remained isolated from the others. A security image dated exactly 3 years earlier. A terrified woman wearing the black veil running through smoke. Leon touched the photograph gently. That night, I found someone escaping. Evelyn's heartbeat quickened. It was me. He nodded. You were covered in blood. You remembered nothing. You only kept repeating one sentence. What did I say? Leon looked away. Don't let them finish the ceremony. Evelyn's chest tightened. Fragments continued returning. Dark hallways, candles, hundreds of women dressed in black. Someone fastening the veil over her face. Someone whispering, After tonight, you'll never remember who you were. Suddenly, every light inside headquarters went out. Darkness, complete darkness. Emergency generators activated seconds later. Red lights flooded the bunker. A technician shouted, "They're inside the system." Digital alarms erupted. Firewalls collapsed one after another. Security cameras failed. Door locks disengaged. Leon immediately drew his pistol. Seal every exit. Too late. Explosions echoed somewhere above them. Concrete dust rained from the ceiling. Marco looked toward surveillance. North entrance breached. Another explosion. West tunnel compromised. Then another. They're already inside. Gunfire erupted throughout the underground complex. Mercenaries dressed entirely in black tactical armor stormed the corridors. Unlike ordinary soldiers, every one of them wore the same elegant porcelain mask. No expressions, no identities, only white faces staring through darkness. Leon calmly reloaded his pistol, then looked toward Evelyn. "Stay behind me. I'm not hiding." "You are." "I'm done running." For the first time, she stepped beside him instead of behind him. "I remember enough now. If they want the bride, they'll have to come through both of us." Leon studied her. Something changed inside his eyes. Respect. Not because she wasn't afraid, because she walked forward anyway. The bunker became a battlefield. Marco's security teams exchanged fire through narrow steel corridors. Sprinklers activated. Smoke mixed with flashing emergency lights. Concrete shattered. Sparks rained across polished floors. Leon moved through the chaos with frightening precision. Every movement controlled. Every shot deliberate. Never wasted. Twice, he pulled Evelyn away before bullets reached her. Once, he wrapped his own body around hers as an explosion tore through the hallway. Dust filled the air. She found herself trapped beneath him. Only inches separated their faces. His breathing remained calm. Her heartbeat thundered. He searched her eyes. "Are you hurt?" She could barely answer. "No." Only then did he move. Never lingering. Never taking advantage of the moment. Yet, something invisible had changed between them. Minutes later, they reached the intelligence archive. The room had been destroyed. Computers burned. Servers collapsed. Documents scattered everywhere. One steel vault stood open, empty. Marco entered behind them. They took the archives. Leon looked toward the empty shelves. "No." Marco frowned. "They're gone." Leon shook his head. "That's exactly why they're still here." Evelyn looked confused. "They didn't come for the files." Leon slowly turned. "They came for one document." He walked toward a fireproof cabinet overlooked by everyone else. Inside rested only a single leather journal, untouched. Its cover read, "Black Veil. Original designer, Evelyn Froze." My handwriting. Leon carefully handed it to her. "Open it." The first pages contained ordinary sketches, fabric notes, measurements, color samples. Nothing unusual. Then, halfway through, the handwriting suddenly changed. Still hers, yet different, more desperate, more frightened. She read aloud, "If someone finds this, my name is Evelyn Moore. If I'm writing this, it means I've remembered everything again." Her hands began trembling. She continued, "The society never wanted my dresses. They wanted my ability. Leon quietly asked. What ability? Evelyn kept reading. I was born with eidetic memory. I never forget faces. I memorized every member of the society, every politician, every billionaire, every judge, every buyer, every killer. Her breathing stopped. She looked at Leon. They erased my memories because I remembered all of them. Another page, written only days later. If they erase me again, find Leon Romano. He's the only man they fear. Evelyn slowly lowered the journal. Tears filled her eyes. I knew you. Leon remained silent. You knew me before all of this. He finally answered. Yes. She stared at him. You lied. I protected you. You let me believe we were strangers. You deserved a chance to live. Her voice cracked. For 3 years? Leon looked directly into her eyes. I watched every birthday, every fashion show, every Christmas. I made sure no one touched you. I never expected you to remember me. Silence. Then, almost whispering, Evelyn asked, why? Leon didn't answer immediately, because the truth terrified him more than any bullet ever could. Finally, his voice barely rose above a whisper, because somewhere between protecting you and losing you, I forgot where duty ended and where loving you began. Before Evelyn could answer, the cathedral bells of St. Bartholomew suddenly echoed across every speaker inside the bunker. A calm voice followed. Adrian Valenti. The rehearsal is over. The bride has remembered enough. But memory changes nothing. A live video appeared. Inside St. Bartholomew Cathedral, hundreds of women stood motionless, every one of them wearing identical black wedding gowns. At the center, a little girl sat alone in the front pew, no older than 6. She looked directly into the camera and whispered one heartbreaking sentence. Miss Evelyn, please don't let them take me too. The transmission ended. Evelyn's face went pale. Leon slowly holstered his weapon. He already knew there would be no more hiding, no more running. The final battle would begin inside the cathedral where the Black Veil Society had stolen hundreds of lives. And this time, Evelyn would walk through its doors, not as prey, but as the woman destined to bring the entire empire crashing down. The rain began before sunset. Heavy, cold, relentless, as if Chicago itself wanted to wash away 30 years of secrets. St. Bartholomew Cathedral stood alone beneath the storm, its Gothic towers disappearing into black clouds. Hundreds of candles glowed behind stained glass windows, while dozens of black luxury SUVs surrounded every entrance. To the outside world, it looked like another exclusive wedding attended by the city's elite. Inside, it was the headquarters of the Black Veil Society. The night every missing bride had been brought here, and the night their empire would either survive or finally collapse. Leon Romano's convoy stopped 2 blocks away. No headlights, no sirens, only silence. Marco Rossi checked the tactical map one last time. Federal agents are waiting for your signal. Leon shook his head. They don't move until every hostage is clear. Marco frowned. If we wait too long, they'll execute the brides. I know. Leon looked toward the cathedral. That's why Evelyn goes in first. Evelyn slowly stepped out of the vehicle. She wore the finished black wedding gown, the same masterpiece Adrian Valenti had completed, the same design that had condemned over 100 women. Layers of black silk flowed behind her in the rain. The black veil covered part of her face. She looked less like a bride and more like a queen walking toward her own execution. Leon approached her quietly. Neither of them spoke for several seconds. Finally, he reached out, not to stop her, only to straighten one fold of the veil that had caught in the wind. His fingertips brushed the fabric, then immediately withdrew. "I promised myself," he said softly, "that you'd never have to wear this again." Evelyn looked into his eyes. "You also promised to protect me." "I did." "Then trust me." She gently placed her hand over his. "If this ends tonight, it ends because we walked into it together." For the first time, Leon didn't argue. He simply nodded. The cathedral doors slowly opened. Music echoed through the enormous sanctuary. Not joyful wedding music, a slow Latin requiem. Hundreds of guests stood silently. Politicians, fashion icons, judges, international businessmen, philanthropists, people the world admired, people Evelyn now recognized from the memories that had returned. Every face, every member of the society. At the altar stood Adrian Valenti, perfectly dressed in black, smiling as though welcoming honored guests. "My masterpiece," he said. "You finally came home." Evelyn walked alone down the aisle. Every step echoed through the cathedral. No groom waited. Only Adrian. Only darkness. Only rows of women dressed in identical black gowns. Their eyes were empty. Some had been missing for months. Others, for years. Many had been drugged. Some no longer remembered their own names. Evelyn's heart shattered. Adrian opened his arms. "Do you remember now?" "I remember enough," she answered. "I remember every face." His smile slowly faded. "That was your greatest mistake." "No," Evelyn replied calmly. "It was yours." She removed the veil. Instead of dropping it, she turned toward the congregation. "I know every one of you." Silence. She slowly pointed across the room. The senator, in the third row, the judge beside him, the shipping magnate, the ambassador, the surgeon, the banker. "On be on." She spoke their names, then the names of the women they had destroyed. Gasps spread throughout the cathedral. Several guests quietly reached for concealed weapons. Others began backing toward hidden exits. Adrian's smile disappeared completely. "You shouldn't have remembered." He clapped once. The cathedral doors slammed shut. Hidden gunmen emerged from balconies. Snipers appeared among the stained glass windows. The ceremony was over. The execution had begun. At that exact moment, the cathedral's enormous pipe organ suddenly roared to life. Not with music, with deafening feedback. Every light went out. Darkness consumed the sanctuary. Then, Leon Romano crashed through the cathedral's main doors. Marco Rossi and Romano security teams flooded every entrance. Smoke grenades rolled across the marble floor. Gunfire erupted. Pillars exploded. Stained glass shattered in brilliant colors. Guests screamed. Masked mercenaries opened fire. Leon ignored all of them. His eyes searched for only one person, Evelyn. He found her at the altar. 3 gunmen surrounded her. Before they could react, Leon eliminated the first with a precise shot. The second lunged. Leon disarmed him in seconds. The third raised his rifle. Evelyn struck him first with the heavy brass candlestick beside the altar. Leon looked at her. She almost smiled. Told you, I'm done running. The battle spread through every corner of the cathedral. Marco's teams escorted frightened brides toward underground exits. Federal tactical units stormed the lower tunnels. The hidden prison beneath the cathedral was finally exposed. Locked rooms, forged passports, medical laboratories, identity files, hundreds of women still alive. Everything was recorded live. Every document uploaded directly to federal servers. Adrian watched his empire collapsing in real time. He quietly pulled a pistol, not toward Leon, toward Evelyn. If I can't rebuild the society, neither can she. Before anyone else could move, Leon stepped directly between them. The shot echoed through the cathedral. Everything stopped. Evelyn screamed. Leon staggered backward. Blood spread across his black suit. He remained standing, only because he refused to fall while she was still in danger. Adrian smiled. Just like your father. Then, a second gunshot echoed. Adrian froze. A red stain slowly spread across his chest. Everyone turned. Standing halfway down the aisle was one of the women wearing the black veil. The 6-year-old girl from Adrian's video. She hadn't fired. Behind her stood another woman, older, one of the missing brides from 12 years earlier. She lowered the hidden pistol. Through tears, she whispered, "You stole my life." She fired again. Adrian collapsed onto the cathedral steps. His reign ended, not by a mafia boss, but by the very women he believed would never fight back. Minutes later, federal agents secured the cathedral. More than 100 survivors emerged from the underground prison. Politicians were arrested before television cameras. Judges, corporate executives, international traffickers. The Black Veil Society ceased to exist before sunrise. Every secret Evelyn had carried inside her memory became evidence. Every face she remembered became another arrest. Leon survived. The bullet had struck dangerously close to his heart, but missed by less than an inch. Weeks later, Evelyn visited him inside a quiet rehabilitation villa overlooking Lake Michigan. He stood alone on the terrace, watching the water. "You should still be resting," she said. "I heal faster than doctors like," he answered. She smiled. "So I've noticed." Silence settled comfortably between them. No bodyguards, no gunfire, no fear. Leon finally spoke. "For years, I thought protecting you meant keeping my distance. I was wrong." Evelyn stepped closer. "So was I. I thought surviving meant forgetting. It doesn't." She gently took his hand. "It means choosing who deserves to stay." He looked down at their hands, then back into her eyes. "Are you choosing me?" She answered without hesitation. "I already did." 1 year later, Maison Étoile reopened. Its first collection carried a new name, the Freedom Collection. No black veils, no hidden symbols, only gowns created for women choosing their own futures. Former victims of the Black Veil Society attended the opening together. Many worked beside Evelyn as designers, consultants, and mentors. The atelier became more than a fashion house. It became a place where survivors reclaimed their identities. Leon fulfilled the promise he had made to himself after the cathedral. He dismantled the remaining Romano criminal operations, turning their wealth into legitimate foundations that funded shelters for trafficking survivors, witness protection programs, and scholarships for women rebuilding their lives. Chicago gradually stopped whispering his name in fear. Instead, people quietly spoke of the mysterious businessman who seemed to appear whenever innocent people needed protection. On a warm autumn evening, Leon returned to St. Bartholomew Cathedral, not for another secret ceremony, not for another battle. The cathedral had been restored, its underground prison demolished forever. Evelyn waited inside, wearing a simple ivory wedding dress she had designed herself. No black silk, no veil hiding her face, only sunlight pouring through stained glass windows. As she reached the altar, Leon looked at her for a long moment before speaking. "The first time I saw you in a wedding dress, I thought I was too late." Evelyn smiled through tears. "And today?" He gently took her hand. "Today, I finally arrived on time." They exchanged vows surrounded by survivors, friends, Marco Rossi, and the families who had once believed their daughters were lost forever. No armed guards stood at the doors. No hidden tunnels waited beneath the floor. Only hope. As they left the cathedral hand in hand, Evelyn glanced toward the place where the black veil had once fallen. The wind carried a single piece of black lace across the empty steps before lifting it into the sky and out over Lake Michigan. She watched it disappear, then leaned against Leon. "The nightmare is over." Leon kissed her forehead gently. "No," he whispered, with a quiet smile. "The nightmare ended the moment you stopped being their bride and became the author of your own story." Together they walked into the golden evening, leaving behind the shadows of the black veil forever.